Hi and welcome. This is Irina K and my channel Astrobabushka. I'm a Vedic astrologer and I'm trying to apply ancient science to the modern times. This is the series of videos where I'm analyzing murders and serial killers and try to see the perspective from astrological point of view. Can it be prevented? In which cases it can be prevented? How about using it together with psychiatrists and psychologists to prevent future crimes in cases where person already has been diagnosed with mental disabilities or mental problems, and in case if a person already on the radar of the police forces. So in this video, the second episode, I chose to analyze Menendez brothers' charts and their case. It's just happened recently, their second trial, and more or less a lot of people knows their story, so it can be interesting to see. Also there I found some correlation between the episode first, Ted Bundy case, and episode second now, Menendez brothers. And I want to start the analysis by again reading the words that triggered me to start looking into that direction. The words by Ted Bundy. We want to be able to say we can identify these dangerous people, and the really scary thing is you can't identify them. People don't realize that there are potential killers among them. How could anyone live in a society where people they liked, loved, lived with, worked with, and admired could the next day turn out to be the most demonic people imaginable? And I'm taking the challenge of Ted Bundy to prove that with the help of astrology, specifically Vedic astrology that is more than 3,000 years old, and with the teachings of my teachers, Kayan Rao, Mr. Goel, Mark Boney, I start this challenge to prove that astrology can help government and can help services, official governmental services, to prevent future crime. And first, I opened Lyle Menendez chart. And I was like, maybe it's someone else. Maybe this is not the person who was part of. Oops. Maybe this is not one of the brothers. Maybe it is someone else. But I checked all the birth details. I checked all the information, and it appears to be pretty much legit. Yes, Moon is on the edge between two signs. And yes, Moon is a bit afflicted here with Rahu, Ketu axis, but also it's under the aspect of Jupiter. And Jupiter is the ruler of the most benefic house, 9th house. Moon is directly impacted by Mars because Moon is in the Aries sign. So, yes, it can be emotional, restless individual who is craving for recognition and validation, specifically from mother and father, because Sun is Karaka of the father in the 9th house, in the house of father. So here we can see in the chart very prominent mother-father figures. But directly, right away, nothing is screaming to us that something can be wrong here. Rahu being with the moon sort of distorts feeling. Rahu is amplifier, so it creates turbulence in the placement, and whenever it's in the same house with another planet. And so here it might create some exaggeration in the feelings, in the emotional mind, some dramatization of what is happening around, like sort of people can call others with this placement a drama queen. And since the moon is also the fourth house ruler, and fourth house is mother, it's inner peace, it's inner stability, it's also we can see the very strong connection with the mother figure, but also something is fractured here because of the Rahu influence. Now, what is interesting here, first and foremost, is that Mercury is a ruler of the third house, and the third house symbolizes brothers or siblings who are younger. And it's hammed between two malefics, Mars and Sun. And whenever planet is hammed between some two malefics, especially the strong ones, we can think about this planet having a pressure. It's like in a cooker, constantly being pressed. And Sun, of course, is a father figure, and in the ninth house is also it's a father figure. And Mars is traditionally karaka of brothers, but also it's a karaka of conflict. Here we can see in the chart of the older brother, Lyle Menendez, that his younger brother is destined to be under pressure, under constant pressure between father and brother. Also, because Mercury is the karaka of the intelligence, of the speech, it can give him very sharp, very distinctive speech, but also tendency to rationalize violence or act under stress. Sun here is a dominant theme, right? And Mars is also Lagnesh. So here we have another proof that Mars is hamming with his father, his younger brother, because Mars, it's Lagnesh, it's also himself, it's Lyle himself. And here, this speaking in astropsychology way, Mercury is mind, right? And it's also decision-making part of mind. And if there's like a bit of entanglement, because his decision-making is also hemmed between the father's domination and Mars, karaka of brothers. So from one side, Mars is playing by the house rulers, it's playing his own role. From another side, Mars is playing as the natural karaka. And this is very clear to see that this family is distorted. There's a ongoing, because Mercury is also ruler of the sixth house of conflict and enemies and fight, so it's an ongoing conflict between three. So to analyze this situation here, you really need to proper analyze. You need really to see all three charts. Unfortunately, we only have Erik Menendez and Lyle Menendez charts. So this is what we are going to work with. So far, I would put this chart aside, because the main chart here to analyze is Erik Menendez chart. And here you can see how whoever watched my previous Ted Bundy analysis, here you can see how much it looks alike. The moon is debilitated in the 4th house with the Sun and Mercury. Here in Ted Bundy's chart is the same situation, but also we have Mars here. Mars is making a little bit more tense the situation. Here Mars is in the 3rd house of actions. And what is interesting here is that, yes, he was born right after the lunar eclipse. No, it was solar eclipse, right after solar eclipse. And the Erik Menendez chart, the Rahu and Ketu nodal axis, they are in tight square with Sun and Moon being here. So it's not as faded as that situation there, but it's also pretty much. So, first and foremost here, after we analyzed the similarity with Ted Bundy chart, we can also see here in the 9th house is a house of the father, and we can see here Saturn being debilitated and retrograde. And also it's Ashtamsha. So it's a lot of different affliction to this planet, and being malefic is already afflicting this house. Moreover, it's under the Jupiter aspect that is ruler of the 8th house. It's under the Venus and Mars aspecting its own house. Ninth house is a house of law and moral, and it also indicates the conflicted relationship with father's authority right away. It can be loss of faith in paternal protection. Saturn in Aries is impulsive, regressed anger, often turning guilt or pressure into self-punishment or defiance. And here right away I would like to show you, first of all, together with the Rasi chart, we also watch the D9 chart, and here Saturn again afflicted by Rahu Ketu axis and in the big enemy sign. So it's not really helping him to feel good. And D60 chart, I will mention it again, but again Saturn here is in debilitated position and ruling the worst 8th house. So this is the chart of D60, is the most deep chart, divisional, and it shows the deepest level of the soul of this reincarnation. So the karma with the father here is, as Mark Boni, Kai and Rao, they say that karma can be soft, that can be manageable and worked with. It can be like a medium softness, and it can be the firmest one. The firmest one, you cannot escape certain situations. You cannot modify them. It's something that has to happen, and no one can influence this. Now speaking about his personality. Again, the similarity with the Ted Bundy chart here is unimaginable. I didn't make it on purpose. I didn't choose this episode, Erik Menendez chart, on purpose. It's just an accident. And so, yes, the fourth house, of course, the core of the chart, and it's the inner life, it's connection to mother, it's connection to roots, it's inner peace, it's ability to feel happiness. Even sometimes when the fourth house is afflicted, you feel your life can bring you certain events that other people can feel happy with. But afflicted fourth house, it takes away the ability to enjoy simple moments in life. In being in Scorpio, it indicates psychological trauma, emotional extremes, and instability in home life. Now, his childhood started in the moon was in Nakshatra Anuradha and its ruler Saturn. So right from the start, his life destined to be around all the topics of debilitated Saturn. And Saturn period was until he was 18 years old. And so basically in the end of the Saturn Mahadasha, everything happened right before Mercury Mahadasha started. So if the karma was manageable, if it was less firm, maybe there was something to be done here. Now, the exact square of Rahu and Ketu axis to the fourth house, so we call it Kendra Sambandha. They don't make aspect, but they are in a very tight degree with moon. It's just 1 degree away, and sun is 12 degree, also pretty close. It might indicate the deep wound in the relationship versus identity topics, and filtered again through the family broken foundation, the broken fourth house. So here Venus again is very strong. So the person is good looking, he's taking care of himself, and together with Mars, more than often I can see Venus plus Mars, especially strong Venus and strong Mars, because Mars here is the Yoga Karaka. We can see here tendencies for some sort of sex experimentation, and including same-sex experiments if it combines with afflictions. Here, Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, they're not combining with Rahu Ketu, but it's under a very strong and bad acting Saturn from the 9th house. It's aspecting it directly. Jupiter is lord of the worst 8th house, becomes acting as a malefic sometimes. And again, it can influence as on the Saturn, it can bring secrecy, trauma, and crisis during the period of Saturn, which was all his childhood and teenagers years. Sun and Moon again in the 4th house as well, the same as Ted Bundy chart has. And here It's again indicates instability in home life. So, in Lyle Menendez chart, he doesn't carry the same heavy, like a nodal axis wound, although it's on his ascendant more or less. But it doesn't affect the father directly. His chart is less afflicted in the father and mother houses. Let's check his D60 just in case. Yeah, the sun is strong. It indicates the strong father. But nothing to be said that it is going to be having an abusive effect on him. And my suspect, my thoughts on this is that his participation in the murder might then to be more about loyalty to his brother, shared anger, or even being swept into Erik's karmic storm rather than his own inherent chart afflictions. In Erik chart, there's a karmically entangled, this is wounded connection about his sexual identity, destabilized psyche, and here you can see obvious faded signature of abuse and rupture. And so I want to go over Erik Menendez's main trait that has been fixated during trials. So he is emotionally intense and secretive. Some people call him a liar. And I think it's more about his Scorpio's afflicted, secretive nature. Moon is as well as in the situation with the Ted Bundy. Moon is a ruler of the 12th house, of everything hidden, everything behind closed doors. And again, it sends us to this paternal lineage because from the mother's house, from the mother's 4th house, 12th house is the house of her father. So his inner world, again, is a turbulent, secretive, and hard to stabilize. He hides pain and emotional storms often rules his behavior. About troubled father situation, we already said. There's a deep father wound. In the 3rd house, together Venus and Mars, there's a strong erotic drives and need for intimacy and validation. And the displacement can suggest also homosexual or bisexual tendencies. And with the Jupiter ruler of the 8th house, secrecy and shame around it. Impulsive and thrill-seeking nature can be also said about this placement. The person can swing from charm to violence. Ketu in the 1st house often leads to a person who destined to difficulty figuring out who they are. Ketu is a demon without head, so he feels, but he cannot often rationalize certain things. And it's often lead to feeling of unstable mind, unstable personality, and they are defined by relationships, by dependency on others, or rebellion. The person is prone to guilt and self-undoing due to the placement of the Saturn. Saturn, by the way, Saturn here also afflicts his older brother house, 11th house, and the house of fights. So something I just noticed right now, the similarities. Again, the entanglement between here, we can see the younger brother of Lyle fights with father, and this is his main life expression. So his brother is almost like his work, because 10th house is a career house, and it happened between himself, the older brother, and his father. And here we see the same houses activation, the younger brother, older brother, or in this case it's himself, or his actions, or his unstable understanding of his sexuality. Again, fights, because it's Saturn is aspecting this house of conflicts. And Saturn is also holding under control the older brother house. So it's interesting. Next, what we can say. He is rebellious against family authority. Why? Because the 4-9 afflictions. And like going back here, home feel unsafe. And here I noticed, and again, something interesting. So if you check the Erik Menendez moon, it's right in the beginning of Scorpio. Lyle Menendez, it's right in the end of Aries, so it's almost the beginning of Taurus. So that's mean they are within a couple degrees in opposition with each other. That's quite interesting, because Erik's moon is in Gandanta, it's in Sarpadrikana, yes, it's in Sarpadrikana, and Sun is also in Sarpadrikana. So it's a drowning zone where water ends and fire starts. No, wait, he's not. No, it's not in Gandanta. Sorry about that. It's just started the Scorpio sign, but still. In Scorpio moon, it gives this fear of betrayal, extremes of emotions, sometimes paranoia, and it's very close to the debilitation degree. Debilitation degree here is 0, and here we have, it's very close, it's within 3 degrees. And Lyle's moon is in opposition, and it's sort of, this moon to moon opposition creates very very strong bond between them. They feel each other, but often also they feel each other in a tension. In this case, it would be very nice to have their father's chart to see where his moon placed, because I suspect it should be another oppositional or square aspect here. And for siblings, it can mean that one pulls where the other resists. So it's another point to mention here, because they're sort of, from one side they create a tension, but also they are counterbalance each other. Whenever Erik feels in instability, Lyle reflects it back and supports, but also in some cases, and can work as the forcing confrontation. It's interesting that exactly Erik said to his psychotherapist on the session that he killed his parents. So despite all the similarities with the Ted Bundy chart, here we can see more vulnerable and self-reflective soul here. Now, interesting here between the brothers is that Rahu of the Erik's Rahu, which is in Aquarius, goes. Wait. Lyle's Rahu. One. Okay, yes. So it's a Lyle's Rahu in 0 degree of Aries. It goes to the same house where Saturn in Aries sits in the Erik Menendez chart. So, where Rahu goes, it amplifies, it's increasing, it's making it worse. Rahu is the demon, it's never enough. So, it's in mind of Erik, it triggers again and again unresolved father issues by his older brother. And here again we can see how it correlates with Lyle being a pressure cooker together with Sun for Erik. Consciously or unconsciously, especially probably in the childhood, it was not he was not probably be able even to control it 100%. And so the brothers together, they obsess over this father's control, abuse, and injustice. Lyle's Rahu pushes Erik into action. Erik's Saturn on its own might repress, but Lyle's Rahu energy can add urgency, rebellion, taboo breaking, and it energizes Erik to break free from paternal oppression, even violently. And here, Erik was seeing psychotherapist. Why? Because he was suffering from depression. It was a lifelong depression, guilt, and hidden rage against his father. And with the right timing, and we will see now with the help of transits how what exactly which transit triggered it. But it's interesting that it happened right in the end of Saturn period, right in the end of Mahadasha. And Saturn is retrograde. Now, in Lyle's chart, here's interesting. What do we see here is that Rahu of Erik is in 4th degree of Aquarius. It goes directly into the Lagnesh of Lyle. So again, Erik's Rahu is increasing, amplifying, making it bigger. His role, his big brother picture. And Mars is his identity, but as a ruler of the 8th house, it also bring out everything that is hidden in transformative. And in the 11th house, Erik, sort of the demon of Erik, increasing, or he's like a whispering in the brother's ear of what we can achieve together as brothers and as a team, because 11th house is a house of gains, network, and teamwork. So Rahu electrifies Mars, and Erik's Rahu, its obsession, karmic impulse, and sitting on Lyle's Mars, it pulls his brother's identity and energy into a dangerous place, into a dangerous vortex, where it just, it just goes into the spiral. And activation of the 8th house, it's which taboos or which boundaries Lyle is willing to cross together with his brother. Again, 11th house is a group mission, and here they act as team, almost like soldiers in a secret mission. And I would like to open the transits for the main chart, the Erik's chart. So I think it is okay. So for those who's not familiar with the software, on the right is a natal chart of the Erik, and on the left is the chart that is a transits happening on this day, the day of the murder. And here we can see right away is that Mars is the yoga karaka and the planet of aggression and actions, is in the 1st house, not far from ascendant, and it's expecting and squaring and expecting the moon and sun and Mercury in the 4th house. Most importantly, moon is a mother and sun is a father. So aggressive actions is possible toward these figures. And Mars empowers him to strike down the father. Now, the co-owner of the Scorpio is Pluto, and Pluto here, transiting Pluto, is sitting in the 3rd house, 18 degree. So it's not far from Venus, and it's aspecting Saturn in the 9th house, very close in degree. So here, Pluto is all about transformation, destruction, death, and I think it's like he's a ruling of Hyades, or like the world, the world of the dead people, the underworld. And here, because of the connection between the 4th house and direct aspect to the 9th house, is crashing the roots, the family roots, and the father. The nodal return. Look at the notes here. So Rahu is in exact within 2 degrees to the natal, and Ketu is in a Ketu. So it's a karmic crossroads. We call it nodal axis return. And in this case, it speaks for itself. The justice is formed in the mind of Erik. Now, here I have to mention one important thing. Karesh can be done to any. So the Karesh is the planet that bring harm to the natal, to the native, and it's in this software. It's already calculated here. It's 22nd Drikana. They are Kareshes from the ascendant and from moon, and 64th Navamsha from ascendant and moon. But we're not going to watch exactly them because the harm was done not to this person. Even though from the moon perspective, the person might not be in the right mind. So for example, if the person has mental problems, then we should watch it. And but just not, because it's already 44 minutes, not to pay attention to this. I want to spend a little bit more time on explaining that how it worked out in the sense of the father figure. So the 9th house here is a father. So the Karesh for the father will be Jupiter. And first and foremost, the murder was done in Saturn-Jupiter period. So the Karesh, the planet that is harming the father figure, is active. Now, Jupiter is also Maraka by placement in Rasi in the 7th house. Together with Venus, Venus is Marrakesh by ruling the 2nd house from the 3rd house of the father. And it's with this 8th house, so it's a secret death and sudden events. So it all been activated during the Saturn-Jupiter period. And let's see where the Jupiter sits. The transit Jupiter is passing the Gemini, which is 11th house. It's 10 degree. Now, it's very easy to check here. When the planet, Haresh, itself, passing these degrees, the inevitable tragic events can occur to the person this Karesh symbolizes for. So Jupiter is Karesh to the father figure. And it was transiting exactly within 0 to 10 degrees Gemini in the day of the father's death. Now, in the D12 chart we watch, it's a family chart, the family situation. And here, again, Jupiter is the ruler. It's in the 9th house. But Saturn is Marrakesh because the ruler of the 7th house for the father house. So it's from the 9th house, you count 7, it will be the ruler of the 7th house is Saturn. And the Saturn-Jupiter period, the father has died. In the Vamsha chart, we see Mercury debilitated in the 9th house. which tells us that there's definitely some issues will be with the father. Also, it's ruling of the 12th house of losses. And the Karesh for the father house in D9 is Mercury itself. But in the 4th house, which is the house of where the Karesh placement, we can see also Jupiter here. So indirectly, Jupiter again symbolizing forces that can bring harm to the father figure of this native. And the same way, we can, of course, analyze everything for the mother figure, but I will not do this here for the idea of saving time. Now, Varshapal. So it happened in 1989, so that's mean we need to check 1988, and the period here was Rahu. So Rahu is in Mundra house, so this is where will be the focus of this person in this year. And Mars is the ruler of the house. What I noticed for now, on top of everything, Mars, especially strongly placed as a ruler of the year, was active in the Erik Menendez chart when they killed Erik, and Lyle Menendez chart too. So Ted Bundy, the first murder, the year ruler for his chart was Mars. Erik and Lyle Menendez, solar year ruler was Mars again. Mars is violent planet of war. Here directly, we don't see, like for example, in the chart of Ted Bundy, it was obvious that something is gonna happen with his mind, because it was again the moon was covered by sun. I think it was new moon. So it was very inflicted, also being in the Scorpio again. And in this case, here we don't see so much affliction. So when I see the situation like this, I go to the Sahams sections. In the ancient times, people used to calculate them by hand. Right now, we are happy to have it here already calculated. So we have natal chart Sahams and Varshapal Sahams. And they can help us to give a bigger picture. So, for example, in Pavel Durov's solar return chart, the Saham of imprisonment was active in during that year when he was taken by French police force. So it's interesting sometimes to have a look here, although it's not always working so directly. So here, first of all, in prison, we see that it's a 3 degree in Pisces, and the whole ascendant is Pisces. So this Saham is in the head of the year. Now, also, enemy, where is it? So the Taurus Saham. One second. Yes. So here we see the father Saham is in Taurus. Misfortune Saham in Taurus, and friend Saham in Taurus. and wealth Saham in Taurus. So wealth, imprisonment, misfortune, father, and friend. It's all together in Taurus. But how it directly can be seen during the Rahu. I think more or less his like the whole realization what they have done probably happened right after, right? So more or less it was like the beginning of the end of August. So it was Rahu, Jupiter, and Jupiter is exactly standing together with all these Sahams. And Jupiter is aspecting directly the 9th house. Moreover, sometimes we check the chart from, so we put the Mundha house as the first house, and like this then we see that the ruler of all the Sahams goes to the 9th house, and it's a Venus again in Libra, very strong, but in the father's house. And here in the natal chart we have Venus in Libra aspecting Saturn in the 9th house. So there's like just to see this happening in the future is very complex thing. How we learn by analyzing past charts, analyzing past events, and here is just the more you see proofs to some theory, the better. Just by one placement or one aspect or one Saham being somewhere, we definitely cannot make the right predictions. And so the hardest question here for us is, oh wait, I didn't check for the Aries. Where was it? Another one. One was very important thing I forgot to say, that bandhana or imprisonment. Saham is in Aries in the natal chart. And what we have in Aries, we have Saturn in Aries. And in the end of Saturn period, Erik Menendez was taken into prison. And so the main goal for me analyzing and doing these videos and hopefully making a nice studies and publish it is to answer one major question: could it have been prevented? And the answer is yes and no. Again, sometimes karma is very firm, sometimes karma is not firm. In this case, unfortunately, I can see, especially together with a D60 chart, where both Saturn is debilitated, this is something probably inevitable, what we see here. If strong intervention had occurred, like a mental health care, but I mean, Erik was already seeing psychotherapist, why they didn't see this coming? Maybe removal from abusive household could help, or like a spiritual and psychological support for the whole family, not just for the son. Maybe then the violent form of karma might have been prevented. But the charts show that the father's downfall through the children doing was karmically destined. It was inscribed in both charts. And if not murder, it could have manifested as a public disgrace, legal ruin, or a catastrophic separation. In astrological, spiritual sense, such signatures in the charts can indicate collective ancestral karma. Without remedies, this ancestral karmic note unraveled in the most literal and bloody form. Okay, I hope this video was interesting for you, and I will see you in the next episode of the Astrology of the Killers.